Hello again and welcome to the program Hot Button. It is always a delight to have you join us. Most young people have this saying amongst themselves: you do not place your eggs in one basket. There sounds to be a little bit of wisdom behind that, but when we break this whole thing down, and sometimes, especially when you're dealing with God, who is just one God, and we need to have trust and faith in Him, we must know that once we put something in the hands of God, it is safe. So we don't need too many other baskets. My name is Johnny, and I have with me on the program and
Gift Okangbenedio.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Today we title this particular topic Plan B. Now, to demystify this word, it is a way of young people looking at having a backup plan or another option as it relates to relationship, which is the subject of this program, Hot Button. There are young people who believe that, hey, if I'm with this partner, I can't be with this partner alone, because what if this one breaks my heart? I don't want to go through breakup, so I have to have another partner somewhere, so that when this, is not going well, I can just switch. So the topic for today's program is Plan B, having a backup plan.
Plan B is that person you are talking to, you are spending time with, but then you also have this serious relationship that is out there.
If you have a plan B, that means you are going void, you are going contrary to the things that constitute a good relationship. When you are fully convinced that, yes, I am in a relationship, you have to be satisfied with the person you are being in a relationship with.
You're going with a plan A all along for 5 years and the person leaves you.
If we take time to know an individual, we will know this is somebody I can get along in a relationship with. With that, there will be no need for plan B.
Now, what do you think? Should young lovers be encouraged to go into another relationship without ending the one they are into, or having a backup plan?
This topic is interesting because I wouldn't say this is the first time I'm hearing something like this,
okay,
but it's not so pronounced because I'm a person that deals with the ideal. I prefer to go with the ideal.
Okay.
So I would say my maybe 90% or 100% should go with the ideal. So I always look forward to the ideal. So now talking about plan B in a relationship, what happened to plan A? Then why are we thinking of plan B? I see that as human wisdom.
Okay.
Because God Himself, when He created Adam and Eve, there's no plan B. Everything is just plan A, and then, though when sin came in, God also came up with the way of, with salvation.
Okay.
Although we are made to understand in the New Testament that plan has been there even before, right from the beginning. So God is God of plan A. So now, for a young person to think of plan B in his or her relationship, I'm seeing lack of faith, I'm seeing lack of trust, and I'm seeing a danger there.
Okay.
Because it's a human wisdom. What if the plan A work? The plan A now, I would say, is in two places.
Okay.
For such a young person. You have said yes to this, and the two assume in different places that yes, I have a yes here, and then they are all working with you with a yes. And eventually, maybe it work well, and then it's leading to wedding. They're planning wedding ceremony or marriage. So how are you going to manage it?
Okay, the one that is on the other side.
Yes, the very one that came up with the idea of plan A, plan B. So what if the A person,
A works, what happens to B?
So to B, are you going to disappoint that person?
So to ponder on that is your own concern. That is the crossroad. Let's hear from Pastor what he thinks, and then we can come back to that. What do you think about that, Pastor?
I think that is a messed up way of thinking. Because the young person really needs to understand what relationships are all about.
Okay.
I think that's the basic foundation. They don't understand what relationship is all about.
Okay.
You know, they are probably not even mature enough to start a relationship.
Okay.
And probably that's why we have so many married boys around. Few married men. Few married men. You know, and I think some of these problems are more on the male side than the female side.
Okay.
The females are mostly victims, you know, of these guys who want to play around.
Okay.
You know, and I think basically what the challenge may be, in many homes, we prepare our daughters for marriage. But who is preparing the guys for marriage? Nobody's preparing the guys for marriage. We tell the girls, look, you need to do this when you get your husband's house, you do this. When you get your husband's house, you need to do this and do this and do that. But who's telling the guys what to do when their wives come to live with them? So the guys grow up with a kind of entitlement that they are supposed to be served hands and foot by the females. And I think that is very sad. So young people, young men who, they see these girls as, I always give an analogy. Guys, there's this hunger in guys to be with a female.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong in that.
Okay.
When guys are in a place and they're talking and a beautiful girl is walking past, conversation stops and they turn and look at her. It's normal. Okay?
Okay.
After all, the guy was in a woman's womb.
Okay.
The first sounds he heard was the heartbeat of a woman.
Okay.
And then he was born by a woman. You know, the womb is a very comfortable place. The air is normal, no heat, no sweat, no hunger. And all of a sudden you are ejected from that comfy place. And then you hear the baby boy cry out in protest. And then his place, the next best place to the womb is at the mother's breast. He sucks a woman's breast. He looks into a woman's eyes, hears a woman's voice, all through, you know, the formative stage of his life.
Okay.
So he yearns for that comfort.
Okay.
All through his life. It's an unspoken yearning. But that's what he's yearning for. And when he sees any beautiful girl, that's what he's yearning for. Unfortunately, sin has warped the whole thing. And so the thinking becomes so, you know, so, I'm trying to look for a word that will fit into what I have in mind. But the thinking is no longer as straight as it should be.
Okay.
And so instead of, you know, nurturing
a little bit tainted.
Good, tainted.
Okay.
Instead of nurturing a relationship that will last into marriage. And then you can now, you know, in the arms of your wife, you can now, you know, relieve that experience you had in the womb. Instead, they think is when you multiply those relationships. Now, in multiplying those relationships, first of all, you have created serious emotional problems for yourself. You know, in having those relationships, you turn to a liar. Because you need to lie to manage those relationships. Because if you don't lie, you cannot manage them. And then also you need to have funds to be able to manage those relationships. And you're not working. It means you need to lie to your parents too to get money. So it's a whole gamut of ill events. Because at the end of the day, you are suffering emotionally. You're because of the mental stress and drain on your, you know, and then the females too, you know, and then you are a deceiver. Now, there's nothing wrong when we talked about dating some time ago. Dating is not a relationship per se, because you are getting to know each other.
Okay.
And when you are dating, you can date several girls at the same time because there's no commitment. You just want to get to know them. And at that point when you get to know them, you now pick the one that suits your temperament better, the one that suits the ideal that you want. And then that one, you now build a relationship with that one. You know, you can go to the superstore, relax, gist, talk about yourselves, talk about the things you like in life. You know, generally talk about life itself. Get to know this person. It's not the time to be talking about, you know, having intimacy or having romance. But we don't have that idea here. When you talk about dating, they're already having sex. And
which is not good.
That's not dating. So I think that we need to properly define what relationships are before we start talking about a young person who has been misled to think that if he doesn't have a fallback plan, that this one may fail. If this one fails, start another one. Why do you have two simultaneously? You have a big psychological problem.
Okay, so what you're saying is every young person must understand what a relationship is. and go by those tenets of what relationship requires
Yeah.
before you can. And if you get that right, especially
The foundation is set right.
if the foundation is set right,
Yeah.
you don't have any worries of backup plan
At all.
because you have listed a lot of things. The moment you start a backup plan, you have to be ready to lie.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to, balance the sides, and that's going to put you on a very wrong track. That's very true because, there was a time I had this friend who was receiving a call from his plan B. And then he was with plan A. And you need to see the drama. You pick the call, you look at it. You don't need to speak before somebody knows that, okay, this call
Something
coming
is
in,
wrong.
you don't want to pick. And then while there, as he was trying to take the phone back to the pocket, the girl now asked, who is calling you? And obviously I knew he was lying. And to put yourself in the midst of that kind of situation is itself a very big problem.
It's a drain on emotional currency, I tell you.
Good. But having seen this, there are people that have said, because the side you took was most times the girls are the victims. But there are also times that girls do this because, number one, they begin to see a level of, okay, maybe this person is not mature enough. And then there is this other mature. Maybe this person is not ready and this one is ready. And I'm already with this person before I met this person. Young people just have their reasons for doing these things. Now, is there a point where parents can actually understand? Like, okay, I understand why you're having this backup plan and I support you. Is there a time that could happen?
The only time that I think such can happen is when a particular relationship ends.
So it
For
must
exa-
end.
Yes.
Okay.
That is when it can happen. Maybe if a child is in a relationship and is well known to the parents and maybe because of the character of the other person, one way or the other, such can be encouraged. Or if the child knows that, I can't continue with this person.
Okay.
So it's better because even we are told that it's better to is a courtship to end it than to
Okay.
get into marriage. So if you know that this is a relationship that can be very dangerous in future, you can end it. But it's only when that ends that you
That
can
you have to start another one. So your emphasis is you can encourage someone to look elsewhere,
Yes.
but the one that you're into
Yes.
must be ended. Okay, let me hear from you.
If I
sir.
understood your question correctly,
Okay.
I don't see how the parents will know whether the child is having a plan A and a plan B simultaneously.
Some people could cry to, this person, and then sometimes a parent could just say, who is this one again?
Okay.
Mommy is my friend, though. That is my friend, though.
Yeah,
So what about?
It means something has gone wrong.
And then he tells you, he said he's not ready. He's still in school, and this one is.
Yeah, you see, before the parents can know that something is going on like that,
Yes.
it means something has gone wrong.
Okay.
And a party, either the B or the A, cries
Okay.
out.
All right.
And then the parent of this guy who has all these games going on
Okay.
will now be let into the picture.
Okay.
Otherwise, when things are still going on smoothly, it's difficult for parents
It's difficult to know, okay.
Very difficult to know. You wouldn't even know whether your daughter has two relationships
Okay.
simultaneously or your son has. You wouldn't even know, And if as a parent, you have been friends with your child right from the outset, you're not a stranger to your
Okay.
children.
All right.
You are friends with your children. Your children confide in you, that they are having a relationship. And you are guiding them in their relationship.
Okay.
You are helping them to understand what relationships are all about. In any case, I strongly believe, I have 4 boys. And those boys, like I said, if I had daughters, I want to see which guy will toast my daughter and succeed. Because I'm going to tell them everything. I'm not hiding anything from them. And the same thing with my boys. I tell them everything. I discuss with them we talk like pals. So they understand what relationships are all
Wonderful.
about.
Okay.
They know what their hormones are all about. They know what this sex drive is all about. And they know that they cannot control themselves unless they are friends with Jesus. Okay?
Point.
So if you're not friends with Jesus, you'll be led astray. In fact, if you don't have a girlfriend, your friends will say, what is wrong with you? and peer pressure will push you into having a boyfriend and having a girlfriend. And if your friends have a plan A, if unfortunately you are talking about plan B, some of them have plan F on this campus.
Wonderful.
They have plan F. They have so many, and when you hear them talking, you know, I've had cause to interfere in a discussion, and then we started talking, and I started helping them to know that hey, the entire drain will be on you, because these are single girls. They don't even know that these guys, you are well polygamous of sorts. You know, they don't know, but you know, and you are trying to manipulate, trying to juggle and all that.
Okay.
You are the one who is spending emotional currency, and you may not live long. Because it's taxing you, because you are doing what you are not programmed to be doing. You know, so it's difficult for parents to know. But when things go wrong, when things go awry, parents get to know.
Okay.
But at that point, it's just damage control.
Damage control. Now, having said that, when parents get to know, I have a son who's dating multiple girls, or I have a girl who's dating multiple men, how would parents handle such a child? What would you do to make the child see the light and focus in the right direction?
At that point, there's a problem already.
Serious one.
And I can see that to be a complicated one.
Okay.
Because something is missing from the beginning. Something is missing. That child needs our help.
Okay.
Our help to really, first thing is to cut off from all those relationships.
Okay.
To cut off and to be, I think it needs to be educated, or she needs to be educated about what, just like the first speaker have said, it needs to be educated about what relationship is all about, because the underlying factor there is that there's a fear of unknown, because maybe as a result of peer pressure, but there's a fear of unknown, because what's the point? What do you want to gain at the end? At the end of the day, you want to settle with somebody, just one person out of many, and yet you are trying to keep so there's need to understand what relationship is all about. And at that point, like I said, is a problem, so there is need for solution. So what's the solution? The first thing is to cut off from all those relationships. And then be educated. Understand that without God, you cannot even achieve anything, because the danger of it is that at the end of the day, you lose everything.
We'll come to that danger of it, but from what you just said now, if I gathered very correctly, what you're saying is, if you are in a relationship and it gives you an idea of even having another relationship, then that relationship already is a problem.
Yes.
Which means you have to put that to a stop. So whatever relationship that will make you consider having another relationship is a relationship you shouldn't be in the first place. Let me hear from you before we come to the danger you're talking about.
Let me clearly understand the question you're asking.
Okay. How would parents handle a child who is involved in several relationships? You have found out that this child is into it. How do you get involved to help this child out of it?
I think I will refer my child to a professional. He needs professional help.
Okay. And by professional, you mean?
Professional could be either a shrink, okay, take him to a psychiatrist, okay, because I wouldn't expect my child to behave in such a manner. I mean, why would you have so many relationships? Something is wrong with you. You may have a mental problem, okay, it might be under pressure, you know.
But some people just look at it and say, for fun.
No, it could
because this is
be
taller, this is finer, this is fairer. The choices are just
my
everywhere.
dear, it could even be possessed. All right?
Okay.
Because it's not normal.
Spiritual
It's not normal.
It's not normal.
It's a problem.
So if something is not normal, it's abnormal. And if something abnormal, the person needs help. You know? And it has gone to the point where, you see, at this, it's not as if he's considering having a plan B. He already has a plan B, probably a plan C, and so on and so forth. Now everything has gone bad. Now, I have to be doing damage control. You know, trying to be a nanny to you, comfort you and console you. No. You know? I could even be physical. Okay? I could even be physical. Because the child is a disappointment.
So why would you do that? Why would you be physical to
because I have brought you up in the way you should go. So I wouldn't at that point, you see, a lot of social psychologists suggest treat your children like this, treat your children like that, you need to pet these children. Look, those are Western ideas. Here, we discipline our children. My father whipped me silly when I was a teenager, and I became straight.
You became straight.
I became straight.
Okay, so you
know?
don't spare the rod to spoil the child sometimes.
You see, the West social psychologists suggest now that we should spare the rod. That's what they are saying. You don't flog your child. You talk to the child. If you flog the child, you are damaging his self-esteem. You are doing this, you are doing that. Look at what is happening in Western civilizations.
But again, there are parents. You're saying this confidently because you know the level of upbringing you give to your child. There are parents who don't have the time to invest on their children as we see these days, because economy is hard, people are trying to make ends meet, and children must live comfortably. These people did not imbibe this kind of, discipline to their children.
Okay.
But these people also need help.
You see, the thing is,
their children also need to live right.
Fine.
So
now,
how do we help them?
The question you ask now,
Yes,
you're asking if I were that kind of parent who did not invest in my children, and now things have gone awry. Now,
how
what
do
should
we
I
find
do?
solution?
The thing is, for such a parent, he's sowed the wind and he's reaping the whirlwind.
But we who know the right track now,
fine. So
how do we help them? How
Good.
do we help their
now,
children?
If we were to help that kind of parent, now you are asking now, okay, as a professional,
Yes,
what
sir.
would I do to help a parent like that?
Yeah.
Fine. Otherwise, if it's my own child, I'll tell you what I would have done if it's my own child.
Exactly.
But if I'm helping a family like that, fine, that is on a professional level.
Yes.
First of all, we have to do an assessment of the issue.
Okay.
Assess what the problem really is. Find out the remote causes. Find out the immediate causes.
Okay.
Find out the root cause
Okay.
of some of those issues. It is in the process of assessment, when you are getting to know what the root problem is, that intervention ideas will start coming in.
Okay.
And some of those ideas that are coming in, or you are trying to see if you can help. But if you on your own, you can't help, and you know that this person needs another kind of help, you can refer. That's what it's called, referral.
Okay.
You refer. And when you keep doing that, you find that you get to the point where someone will say, hey, this is what we need to do.
Okay.
And then it will be done. Sometimes, as a clergyman,
Okay.
there are certain steps I will take. And I find out, no, this has gone beyond spiritual. He needs professional help. I refer him to psychologists.
Okay.
Or refer him to psychiatrists.
Okay.
Or refer him to social workers, so on and so forth. But the boy or the girl involved must realize that they need help.
They need help.
Because you can't compel them.
Because it is not a right thing to do.
It's not the right thing to do.
Okay.
They need to be convinced that, yeah, I'm on the wrong track.
Okay.
And then they can now get help.
Get the proper help that
because
they need.
And in so many things abound. These young people see other ones making mistakes. Instead of learning from those mistakes, they try to perfect their own style so that they will not make the same mistake again. Instead of stopping from the other person's, So
there is a need.
There's a need.
When you see somebody making a mistake,
Yes.
you learn from that mistake.
Good.
And
Learn from
you
mistake.
do the right
Do
thing.
the right
I
thing.
don't
Don't
Okay.
try to see how you can avoid making that mistake and perfect your act.
It all leads to damnation.
It will lead to all kinds of complications in the end.
That is where I'm headed. The complications that it will lead to. What are the disadvantages that are there for a young person who decides to have multiple relationships?
Yeah, the other time you mentioned that the person is eventually, is a deceiver.
Okay.
And like I mentioned too earlier, I said eventually the person may lose, everything.
Everything. Okay.
So losing everything is there. Getting a name as a deceiver is
Okay.
there. And then there will be loss of trust,
Okay.
and the person will not be independable, will not be reliable.
Will not be reliable.
So those things will come on board because and what the person feared eventually will happen.
Will happen.
Because at the end of the day, may not get the right. We have seen experiences of somebody doing that. At the end of the day, marrying somebody that is not even of his
Because you have
level.
confused yourself
Exactly.
over time. Wow, well
So-
said.
choices.
Okay. Okay,
So-
let me hear from you, Pastor.
Well, I think that we are talking about short-term consequences. The long-term consequences may be that this person can never be faithful to his wife
Even
when he
if-
eventually gets married.
True.
Won't give you- No matter, somebody who is promiscuous from the word go cannot be faithful even if he marries a beauty queen. Still be promiscuous. You know,
Because you have made it a
you
character.
it is not part of your DNA, as it were. You know, because your wife will be at home, you still be looking for a plan B outside. You know, say that, and of course, there's this philosophy among some of these people out there who think that it is not good for somebody to eat only egusi soup. You know, that when you eat egusi soup, you go and eat ewedu soup, you go and eat banga soup, you go and eat, you know. So it's not good to marry only one woman. Then when you have a wife at home, it's good to have side chicks, as it's called today now.
That's a messed up ideology.
That's a messed up ideology, you know. And this is where it all starts. It all starts. If a child is a cultist in the university, there is no way he will not be a cultist when he's an adult. He will have an adult cult to attend, you know. So things like that, when you start like that, you end up having a messed up married life in the future. So those are some of the disadvantages. And of course, one of the major challenges may be, because of course when we're talking about plan A and plan B, it's a given that they're already having sex. And now, at the end of the day, what happens? It happens that at the end of the day, this young man will find it very difficult, you know, to maintain a single relationship even when he's married.
Contentment.
And then for the lady who is having plan A and plan B, by the time she gets married, she will not be content. Because she will think her husband is not satisfying her.
It goes both ways.
It goes both ways.
So for the ladies
both ways.
and for the young
Exactly.
men, if you stay in something like that, you are likely to, you know, to become that thing, and it becomes a permanent character.
It becomes a trait of character.
Okay, now,
Well,
if you are to look into the camera and speak to a young man, a young woman out there, in a very short 15 seconds, what would you say to that young man?
Well, I would suggest that you keep yourself chaste for your husband, keep yourself chaste for your wife. Because the danger of having all these multiple relationships or even premarital sex is that by the time you get married, your wedding night will not be exciting.
What you're saying is you have to make that night
Make that
exciting.
night exciting. And the only way to do that
is to
is
stay
to keep
chaste.
yourself now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me hear from you.
Yeah,
Very
let's
brief.
tell our young people out there that human wisdom is it has error, but if you depend on a divine wisdom, which is God's wisdom, He will direct your
A
path
summary of it.
and He will give you peace.
Yeah.
If you rely on God's wisdom, it will direct your path and
Exactly.
give you peace.
Exactly.
There is no need to look out there for an option. If option A is not working, try to find a solution to the problem that is making you think about option B. If that solution isn't coming, then it is time to move away. It is not a do or die affair. You can end that relationship rather than having multiple. And the worst thing that can ever happen to you is having this multiple relationship for fun. There is no fun. You've heard it all from our parents here today. So you must be on the right path to wisdom. Acquire this wisdom and let it guide you a lifetime. God bless you for being a part of us. Thanks, and hope you join us again another time next week.